You know something? No, you're not fucked up, right? No. You know you're not fucked up, right? I had a martial arts teacher once, and he gave us lessons in terms of, teacher said, you know, if a man wants to fight you, run away from him as hard and fast as you can. He said, but if he runs after you and he catches you, make sure he never chases you again. In 1984, I mean, you're not allowed to do anything without the permission of the thought police. And they determine your reality. They create this war, and it's not really a war that's happening at all. But they have these soldiers marching and all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. You're not allowed to have a relationship without their permission. You can't just fall in love. You have to have their permission. Go through them. So Richard Burton is the head of the thought police. And John, what's his name? Great actor, John, forgot his name, but anyway. He is a citizen, and he and this young girl fall in love. They keep meeting secretly at his place and her place and running away and running. And one day they're caught by the thought police, and the helicopters come and the soldiers come in and captivate them both and take them to the thought police headquarters. And John, the actor, I forgot his name, is lying on the table, the thought police headquarters, and there's a spotlight on the table, and he's lying there naked with his hands tied and his feet tied, and this electrical force comes to the table with a switch that if you turn the switch on, it just electrocutes you, and there's water coming down and stuff. And so, there's a guy near the button, and Richard Burton is sitting there, and John is, I'm so sorry, I was wrong, I did the wrong thing, I apologize, I never should have ever seen her. And Richard Burton says, well, you know, she said that you started it. He said, well, I don't know, he says, it's okay, it was okay. And he says, Richard Burton, I'll never do it again, please forgive me. Richard Burton says, it's okay. Just want to trust, but verify. So he says to John, he says, how many fingers am I holding up? John says, 4. Richard Burton nods to the guy with the button. John, Stop. What did I do wrong? What's wrong? How many fingers am I holding up? 4. What did I do wrong? How many fingers am I holding up? I don't know. Better. How many fingers am I holding up? 3. Good boy. I'm holding up as many fingers as I tell you, yes, I'm holding up. You got nothing to do with your eyes, nothing to do with your intellect or your mind. But I say it's 3 fingers. How many are there? 3. Good boy. Alternative facts. Isn't 3 an alternative fact? You will believe what we tell you to believe, nothing to do with your perspective at all. Okay, not me. I think a lot of them think I'm crazy. I mean, if I don't get it done, I can't sleep. You know, no matter how tired I am, if I don't get it done, my work that day, I can't sleep. So I'm worried about it the next day, and okay, how many hours do I have to get it, you know, just because it's, and so I meditate, and the meditation helps me. I see people working harder than me. I can't imagine that. But if I do, it inspires me to work harder. I mean, good is not good enough. And great is not good enough. Excellence. Excellence. Your name's on it. And even if you didn't have the budget you needed, you got to take what you have and do the best you can with what you're given. You sit to make 1 million look like 20. You got to do it. And it takes work. And sleep is not something you do.
Were you always like this?
I had parents who taught me ethics that I didn't know they were teaching me at the time. I was very, very young, and my father and mother used to say to my sister and I, Bill and Yvonne, always remember this. You're no better than anybody else, but nobody else is better than you. And they said, never ask anybody for anything, go get it. My father worked 3 jobs, my mother worked 2, 7 days a week sometimes. And they wouldn't take welfare or social assistance, they were too proud. So, I had hit a low point in New York City one time and almost homeless, and I literally was getting high all the time on different things, and I was on the street. I had my hand out and I was begging for money. And this older lady came by one day and she looked at me and said, "Ma'am, can I have some change?" And she looked at me and she walked by. I thought she was gone, so I asked the next person. And I felt a little tap on my back. It's the same old lady. I said, "Yes, ma'am, you got change?" She looked in my face and she said, "Son, do your mama know you out here doing this?" I said, "No, ma'am." She shook her head. She just walked away. Didn't give me a dime. I turned around, I sat on the steps, and never begged for money again.
You still see her face?
Yes. Oh, yes. I turned and I looked, I walked her, she walked 2 blocks and took a left, and I watched her. Changed my life. Reminded me what my parents told me. And I had a college education, and I had a master's degree, and blah, blah, blah. My mother and father went to 2nd and 3rd grade, and they never asked anybody for anything. I had to carry that legacy on. Changed my life. Family-wise, relationship-wise, Never been married. I've been very selfish, and the women in my life have hated that because of my work ethic. I try not to bring my work home, but next day I want to go prepared. I want to be able to. So, okay, let's have a few moments of camaraderie and whatever. Okay, great. And I go work on the script, and that's not the most comforting of things in a relationship, because we owe each other the attention that each other needs. And I've always struggled with that. I always have in relationships. And the other thing, it sounds crazy, but being a black man in this business, I felt I always had to be better. Not as good, but better. Because as good is not good enough. So I'm always paranoid. I gotta be super duper duper super prepared. I have to, so I'm speaking for more than myself as an individual. I'm speaking for culture. Because we're judged like that, well, oh, I didn't know he wasn't gonna be that good because he's black. And he's a B guy, Never want to be a B. Never want to be an A++. And it takes, I don't sleep much when I work. It's always on my mind. I can't explain it. It's just, and the stuff I shot the day before, I know I could have done it better if I had 3 more hours. I just want it to be better. I want it to be my legacy that it's excellent. It's something that I gave 1,000%. But it's crazy too, because it could always be better. It could be different, but it's kind of like a little neurotic type deal. But it's who I am as a creative person. Well, the system is set up for the youth, and they assume that whatever older ones of us have survived, and then wisdom of knowledge that we have is irrelevant. I just pat them on their little damn heads and say, good luck. When I was a young man, there was a saying, I never forgot it, and it was, when I was a young man, I thought my father to be a fool. Now that I have grown older, oh, how wise he has become. So when you're young, you think you know every damn thing, until life smashes you in the face with the truth of its indifference toward you. And all those dumb people that you think are older and you don't listen to, once you get a couple of scars, you'll see how stupid they really are. It's got to be scarred first. Because us talking, they don't know nothing. Yap. Yeah. Your generation's in the past. But when you get crushed, and by crushed, I don't mean by not being successful. Ask what the cost today of being successful is. It's coming out. So you have success, but you paid for it. And so with that success comes shame, because you wanted the success more than your self-respect. And you notice all these people coming out now and saying, this is the price I've paid, and I've been this miserable for all these years. But thank God I can say me too. And it took something off of me. Can you imagine being successful, knowing the price you paid, and choking on it for the rest of your life? Hey everybody, I'm just fine. I'm great, and I don't care about what I had to do, except when I sleep at night, or can't sleep at night. Reality. When I was young, I thought that wisdom was when you knew everything. You've gone through so much that you've now figured out what it's really about. Then I started studying quantum physics and other things, and astrology, and astronomy, and other things that, for example, not only have they not discovered how many planets there are, they don't even know how many galaxies there are. That dark space that they're going into now. And the thing that I realize now that I'm 74, be 75 this month, is to never, ever stop asking why. That's true wisdom. To understand how limited our pea brain is. You know, Albert Einstein spoke on it, you know. People think I'm wise. No, I'm not wise. He said, just like, I'm always wondering, I'm always exploring, I'm always thinking, I'm always trying to get more information, because it gives you a recognition of who you really are compared to the size of this. You go outside at night to the beach and you lie down and look at the sky. There's no end to it. And you think of yourself within that context. It's not that we don't have relevance, but comparatively speaking, we are just, oh, that's too big. I can't get it small enough. It's like we're in there someplace. But our egos tell us we're everything, and there's nothing beyond, and all that garbage. Until something catastrophic happens and it makes us question. I don't wait for the catastrophic. I question every day. Someone tells me, this is a fact. Okay. Let me get back to you on that. I love Google. I don't like Wikipedia, though. It's not my Wikipedia. You know, there are young people doing research papers on Wikipedia. But when I Google things and go back to multiple research points and find out how many different opinions there are about the same thing, and then I have to think about it, that expands my brain. That makes me, oh, I never thought of it that way. That's exciting to me. But sitting back like this old wise person who I figured it all out, that's a lot of crap. I don't hear that from anybody. Not that you do not have information that could help me in terms of talking to you, because you're humble enough to recognize my humanity as I'm humble enough to recognize yours. That's a different situation, because you may know some things I don't know, and I want to hear those things so I can start thinking. But if you're looking down at me from this place of authority, or, you know, when my sister and I were children, There are two people we were told to never question. Your minister and your doctor. Well, today, those are the people I question most. Because you're going to tell me what to believe. You're giving me your opinion of my life. I'm getting other opinions. Then I'll put them all together, and I'll make the decision. Not you make the decision for me, because I'm responsible for my life. Not you. And I appreciate your input. I'm going to ask 5 other people like you to give me their input too. Then I have all the, okay. I make a decision. I was one of the first black directors in TV in Hollywood. Before me, I think it was Michael Schultz, I think Stan Lathan, and Roy Campanella Jr. But to have that opportunity, I went through a lot. I give an example of things, and this is in my book. I was the first black director on Dallas, ever. And I was so happy because it was a top hit show on TV. I done a good job on Knots Landing and other shows, Falcon Crest and other shows. They said, okay, give you a shot. Come up to the gate, Warner Brothers Studios, roll down the window, look at the security guard. Before I could say a word, the security guard says, who are you delivering for? I said, no, I'm not delivering for anybody. I'm the first black director on Dallas, and I'm here early because I want to be. He did like this, he went, pull over to the side. I'm always early, so I pull over to the side, and it's like, I'm supposed to be at 9 o'clock, it's 8:30, then it was 8:40, 8:50. I blow my horn, I say, gets on the phone, he calls up to the office, and looked over at me, back on the phone, looked over at me, back on the phone, closes the phone, and say, I'm you, Ray. He goes like this, he goes, that was my first day.
What year was this?
Late 70s, early 80s.
In Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah. Walking by the Teamsters one day, I was doing Falcon Crest, going to my motorhome, my lunch in my hand, walk by, turn back, trade down, I say, okay guys, man up, you got something to say to me. Say it to my face. What are you talking about, sir? I heard what somebody said. Somebody called me. I said, tell them to stand up. Come on. You're the director of the film. We would never say that. What are you talking about? It's a mistake. I think that you misheard us. Get my tray, turn around, start walking to my motorhome. I'm on a set of Falcon Crest one day. We're up in Napa Valley, and I'm filming, and first AD, we're filming in a restaurant. It's a practical location, so we're there, just to shoot. And it's supposed to be quiet in the kitchen, but they got to be told we're shooting. And so the first AD, very arrogant guy, we start shooting, had to cut us third time because there's noise in the kitchen. So I say, cut. I say, hey man, there's noise in the kitchen, supposed to calm them down. He says to me, and I'm quoting, in front of the cast and the crew, if you want to be quiet, go back there and tell them your own damn self. And by that time, I really had it, so I threw down my headset and I was rushing toward the guy, and Jane Wyman grabbed me by my arm. And she looked me in my face, she said, "Don't do it." Took a deep breath. Went back to my director's chair, put my headset back on. Time for lunch. Came back. She had fired him. And she apologized for him. You see what I'm saying? There are people who want you to fail. But there are great people like Jane Wyman who want you to succeed. And David Jacobs gave me several more chances at Knots Landing. And Larry Hagman at Dallas, when I first did that show, first black director on Dallas, who said to me, "Nice to meet you, young man. We're going to get along real fine as long as you have me out every day by 3:30. So, Mr. Hagman, I guarantee you, every day you'll be out by 3:30. Have me come back and do more and more shows." I can tell you stories of people who, there's some great people in this industry. I mean, when I say great, I mean, they don't have to give you a shot. But because they're good human beings and they see beyond your color to your humanity and your ability, that they do something. They don't do it loud. They do it because they're good people. And if you deserve it, they give it to you. They give you the shot. And because they gave you that chance, you do better than you could ever do. Because you owe that to them and yourself. There's some damn good people in this industry. When I came along, I met a few of them that changed my life. I mean, but that's been to be very honest with you, and I'll put this in my biography, I grew up as a racist. I hated all white people because of slavery and segregation. I saw my father and mother go through. I just hated white. And I grew up an angry young black man, and I was tall and awkward, and I didn't talk much, and I wrote journals and stuff, and And these two people I'll never forget. Oh, it changed my life. Mrs. Jean Walker, English teacher, very stoic and like this, walking around the class. And she'd tell me 9 times not to write in my journal when she was teaching, and I just ignored her, this racist white woman. And one day, she says, "Duke, stay here after class." She said, "Give me that book." I said, "What?" "The journal, give it to me." I said, "I'm not giving you anything." She said, "If you don't give me the journal, I'll fail in the class and you can't pass." Threw the journal at her. Pissed off, hated her. Come back to class the next several weeks before spring break and looked at her like, if I could punch you in your damn face, man. Spring break ends, come back to class. End of the first day, I'm going into class, she says, "Duke, come here." She gives me back my journal and this book. I said, "What is this?" She says, "The National Poetry Contest book." So what are you giving this to me for? She says, "Look on page 49. She put 2 of my poems in there and it won. I looked at her. This is somebody I hated. She had she had read my book, my journal, took the best poems out and submitted them to a national poetry contest, and I won a prize. I was speechless, and she knew I was speechless. She says, "There's nothing to say. You're good at what you do." That changed my mind. I wasn't quite sure how to think about race then because that never happened to me. And then I went to Dutcher Community College. And, you know, James Hall was the dean. He was in the Navy and stuff. And I'd gotten a scholarship to Boston University after Dutchess. And I went to, but, you know, it was difficult. I got a scholarship for my classes, but I had to work for room and board and food and everything. And I was working 7 days a week, exhausted, and my grades weren't that great, and I just gone to the arts college. I decided I was going to come home to Poughkeepsie, and I was going to stay there for a year, quit BU, and get a job, make money, so I can save it for that at IBM. I went during the summer up to visit my friends at BU, and as I'm leaving, Dr. Hall see me. He says, "Hey, Duke, come here." I said, I got to go, Doc. He says, "Duke, come here, come here." Oh, geez, this guy's a boring ass white man. I can't stand this. I go into his office just to be courteous. He says, "Have a seat." I said, "Okay." "How you doing, Duke?" "I'm okay." "You're going to Boston University, right?" "Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm going, but I'm quitting. I'm staying in Poughkeepsie for a year and going to go back next year." And he says, "No, you're not." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes into his vest pocket and hands an envelope to me. I said, "What is this?" He said, "Open it." In the envelope, it was a check of his own money that paid for 3 years of my room and board at Boston University. I looked in this white man's face. I'm supposed to hate. He doesn't say a word. We look at each other. I just said, "Thank you." He did not say a word. He put out his hand and he said, "Don't disappoint me." See, something happens to your racism after that. That's supposed to be your evil enemy that's responsible for the negative in your life and everything. The devil, the system, the creature. Just gave me a check to cover all of my expenses for 3 years. How do you hate that? Life-changing. So I evolved, you know, in my humanity to understand you cannot put a blanket on any of everything, of anything. It's all about the human being, the person, the individual, who they really are behind what their skin color is, behind what their words are, their position. It makes no difference. To know the human. If they respect you, you respect them. Simple. Arab, Chinese, Japanese, Jewish, white, black, green, Hispanic. Those topical services, that's a limited perception. You have the courage to engage people at their level of humanity. You're living. It's easier to dismiss you because, I see you and I make assumptions. I learned a long time ago, ASSUME means it makes an ass out of you and an ass out of me, to assume. And I was taught by those two incidents. It was incredible. If it wasn't for those two people, I wouldn't probably be here today. And never asked for anything. All they said is to be your best. That's a reward. It's the truth. I'm sitting at my monitor one day, and he says, "Do you know who's standing behind you?" I said, "What are you talking about?" Gordon Parks. I said, "Get out of here, I'm working." Stop playing. He says, "No, Gordon Parks is standing right behind you. He's one of my heroes." So I turn around, and he says, "Don't get up, don't get up." He walks to me. He puts his hand on my shoulder. And he says, "Never stop." I just looked at him and walked away. It was like, you're given signs from the universe, and he was one of the things that propelled me into continuing, because whenever you get depressed or something, you want to stop, and you don't stop because of those people who came along and said, "Don't you ever think of stopping." Because I'm not going to lie to you, there are times I wanted to give up because it's like hard. But then you think of the people who loved you enough to encourage you, you don't stop. And it's also your family's legacy. Could you justify stopping? Hell yeah. Is it unfair? Yes. If you don't fit in certain boxes, is it prejudice? Yes. Are there people who don't like it because of the color of your skin? Yes. Are people who don't like it because you're as smart as them? Yes. So? I don't know anybody who hasn't been through pain. I mean, I know very wealthy people, and they're some of my friends of mine, but the size of the house and the model of the car and the clothes that you wear to mask your humanity and your vulnerability is nothing real. I mean, you can go into many, many mansions and meet misery in the face. I mean, so an actor who's grown up in privilege, it doesn't mean that his father did not abuse him.
Right.
It does not mean his mother was not insane. It means the appearance of perfection was there. Meditation saved my life. I was taught meditation, transcendental meditation, TM. By a good friend of mine. I was in a Broadway play and doing very well, but I gotten into drugs because there were times in which the struggle was so difficult, although I was working, and challenges and blah, 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 just overwhelmed. And it ended up at a point where in a Broadway play, and I'd be late to work. They told me, "Don't be late anymore," and I came late again, and they said, "You're not substitute, but your understudy's going in." And I got pissed off and da-da-da-da-da-da. And my friend who saw this said, "Bill, you're sinking fast. Man, you have to do something." I said, "Like what?" He says, "I know you like the drugs and alcohol, but try meditation. I said, you're one of those woo-woo people. What? Get the hell out of here. So it got worse. And then she said, try it. Okay, I'll try. So I tried it a couple times. It was interesting, but I was still taking drugs and alcohol. And then after around a month, she said, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. She said, if you meditate for 6 weeks without taking any drugs or alcohol of any kind, and if you still want drugs and alcohol after 6 weeks, I'll buy you an ounce of anything you want. I'm thinking, oh boy, an ounce of anything I want? Are you kidding me? I'll take this bet, would you? I just knew it was going to work. It wasn't going to work. First 2 weeks, I felt something. It was like, I don't know, a little more ease, less stress. Second and third week, more focus. Fourth and the fifth week, the peace that I was getting out of the drugs and alcohol, I was getting through meditation and more. I was getting a deeper sense of something I can't even explain. I haven't touched drugs or alcohol since that day, and that was in 1974. Became a TM teacher. It changed my life to, I can't even tell you, it's hard to explain. I could tell you more stories about what I've been through, but that was God working again, showing me transform meditation. It changed my life for my own salvation. Like the lady who asked me to turn around, and Miss Walker and Dr. Hall. And I recognize these things, and people think I'm crazy because I say, well, God is doing this. Well, what should God look like? I don't know. I know He's there. I trust because there are things that have happened that I know. I'll give you another example. It's in my book. In 1984, I was working really hard, and when your agent says, you're so tired, you got to take a vacation. Your agent makes 10% of what you make. When your agent tells you to take a vacation, you know that you're exhausted. So I took a vacation. Went to Hawaii because he had just gotten married and told me to stay at the hotel. Went by myself. I just wanted to totally chill. I was there for a week. I was supposed to stay there 2 weeks. And I said, I want to come back to this place. I've never been here. It's beautiful. So I got in the plane called the Island Hoppers. It goes from one island to another and do a ground tour, and then you go another island. We're on our way to Maui from the big island. And it was a twin-engine plane. All of a sudden, the plane started going, shaking. So we all stopped and said, what the hell? And it stopped. So we said, we started laughing, So we left, it goes, and the pilot says, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down and buckle your seats. Now, usually in the movies, when a plane's in trouble, the pilot says, ladies and gentlemen, be calm, be still, we're in control, da-da-da-da-da. Look up at the pilot. This is what the pilot is doing. Help us, Jesus, help us, Mary, help us, Lord, help us, Jesus, help us, Mary, help us, Lord. The pilot. Look out the window and say, then we sure are close to the bam. We crash in the water. Now, water seems soft, right? When you hit the water from that height, he went bam, bam. It tore the bolts out of my seat and threw me forward. The scars from that happening. And when that happened, it's hard to explain, but It's an out-of-body experience. Something up there looked down, I know it sounds crazy, looked down at me in my seat, all the people bleeding, the pilot, and everything. Okay? So this thing, I can't explain what it was. It's peaceful, just observing me. Pilot wakes up, his face hit the dashboard of the plane. Everybody out, get up, go to that. And so as he did it, this thing in my body merged back together. And I said out loud, because I don't swim. I said, Bill, I said it out loud. You always want to know how you're going to die, and now you know. So I just sat there waiting for the water's coming up, boom, 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 blood's coming up, boom, 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 boom. Pilot gets people out, takes them to the wing, says, hey, you, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. I said, I can't swim. He says, unbuckle your seat. Okay, unbuckle my seat. Take the life donut out. Life donut. Put it around your head. He gives me instructions. Pull the cords. When I got to short of like 5 cords, I looked down and saw 1,000. I kept pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, and nothing happened. He left the plane and says, come to the wing. I said, I don't see. He says, come to the wing. I got out in the wing. I'm standing there, and they all paddled away because they all swam and everything. They got 500 or 600 feet away. He says, jump, jump, undertow, undertow. I said, I can't swim. He says, jump. I said to myself, what the hell do I have to lose? I'm going to die anyway. So I jumped. I forgot to tie the life donut around my waist because he had pulled a cord as I passed him. It blew up. I forgot to tie it around my waist. I went down once, twice. Third time I came up, I'm not exaggerating, life donuts here. I put it around my head, like a little dog. I do like this. Then I reach them. I turn around. This big mouth of water swallows the plane and takes it under. If I stayed on the wing, I would have died. I'm telling you, this is all the truth I'm telling you. In the water, 10 minutes passes, people are moaning and groaning. This lady says, look, boats, planes, boats, planes. Now my thought is, before you die, because there's sharks in the water and everything, you have these delusional thoughts and you think you see things. That's what she's doing, right? So I said, she said, boats, planes, boats, planes. Take this to Vegas. You tell me the chances of this happening. Twice a year, the Hawaii Fire Department sends its emergency rescue teams out to do practices in all different parts of the ocean. This day, they were 1/2 nautical miles away from us. They saw our plane go in. They were there in minutes. They took everybody out the water, wrapped us in blankets, asked if we were okay, and started driving us back to shore. I sat next to the pilot, 6'2" or 3" Ichabod Crane, blue eyes. I can see his face, dark hair with white streaks through it. I'm sitting, he's shivering, I'm shivering. And I say to him, sir, I don't want to disturb you. I said, but I was in shock. You talked me through getting out of the plane. You talked me to jumping off. You talked me to paddling toward you. You saved my life, and I want to thank you. I cannot know what to say. He looks at me and he says, I appreciate you saying that. He said, I'm a Catholic. I believe in Jesus Christ. He says, I don't know what you believe in. He said, but don't thank me. Thank that. Turns away from me, looks back in my face, grabs my shoulder, and starts crying like a baby. Get back to shore, people are in shock because planes that crash in that water don't have survivors. I have no way of explaining it to say that that's one of the days I realized there are things happening in this universe that are far beyond my intellect. Far beyond my intellect. And I had my 2 master's degrees and I was so smart. I can't even tell you how much I learned from that experience. I have pictures on the wall of my condo up there of that day from the newspaper. I saved it and just framed it. I never want to forget it. It's just, so it shaped my life. Between those experiences and meditation, it just shaped my life. And made me understand that, it reminds me of a story of a minister that's a friend of mine told me. He said, Bill, one day I stood up in church and I said to my congregation, he said, everybody that wants to go to heaven, stand up, dance, and sing hallelujah. The whole church, 1,500 people, got up and they shouted for 5 to 10 minutes. He'd have calmed them down. Whoa, okay. He said, my second question. Everybody who wants to die, stand up and sing hallelujah. Everybody sat there with their arms folded. So I got my third question. He said, how in the hell are you going to go to heaven if you don't die? See, everybody wants to go to heaven, but don't no damn body want to die. And dying's what Hollywood's about. How do you resurrect yourself after you're smashed a couple of 1,000 times? Do you buy a violin and play little self-pity moments of how unfair everything is and how great you are and how mean they are? And that could go on for 30 years, 40 years. Or do you take the initiative to do something that changes that? It's only one of 2 choices, giving up or moving ahead. The volume of the energy, high or low, is important, but what's more important is it focused. People with lower energy levels get things done too, because they're focused. People with higher energy levels, a lot of things, right, but they're not focused. A higher energy without a plan, without a vision, without a strategy, is called frustration. Lower high energy without focus is frustration. I may want it, I see it over there, but how am I going to get over there? If it's a mountain, I think I need climbing boots and a rope and stuff. But I just want to go over there. Oh, but there you got it. It's up. But I want to go over there. I want to go over there. They're afraid to jump into the pond. It's like today. It's a whole new world in terms of this industry. And say there's a pond and the success range is over there. And a lot of folks just jump in. They can't swim, but they do the best they can to get to the other side. While they're doing that, some of us put our arm in the water. Is it too cool? Is it too deep? Is it too warm? A lot of waves out there. And by the time the pond cools down and you start moving to the other side in your little boat, there are signs put up by the people who took the chance. And those signs say entry fees. And you know why? Because they deserve it. Well, you're over there cowardly thinking. They didn't wait. They jumped. They didn't know if they were going to drown or not. They didn't know anything. They just know that, whatever over there, I'm going to get some of that. So I don't have that. I don't want to be here anyway. It takes that kind of desire. On my wall in my office, I have a picture which is my favorite picture. It's an ostrich or a swan who's swallowing a frog. And the frog is halfway down the swan's throat. But there's one problem. The frog has its hands around the swan's throat, squeezing it. The swan's like, and the title says, "Never Give Up." You can be down their throat, but as long as you got your hands around that throat, can't swallow you. I just finished doing a film, I think it was in Canada, and acting in a film, and I rushed back, and the same day that I came in, I had to be on the set, the Hughes brothers. And I just loved their work, I liked who they were. I read the script and I loved it. It was only one scene, and it's like, the way they set it up got me immediately into the mood because the room was dark, except there were like 3 spotlights, one on the young boy, one on the middle of the table where the gun was, and one on myself, and everything else was in shadow. And the police had brought this young man into this place to intimidate him into telling the truth. And so he was sitting there really nervous, you know, and he thought he was smarter than everybody in the room. And so when I questioned him, it was like, I first brought the gun in, put it on the table and turned it toward him. But said to him, "You're not necessarily getting out of here alive. There's nothing you can do about it. What are you gonna do? We can all say that you reached for the gun and we defended ourselves and shot you." We didn't say those words, we just went like that. That said it. When he saw that, it was like, oh boy, okay. And we started asking him questions. I started asking him questions about, was he there? And he said no. And you said you left the beer here and you bought the beer at this time, you drank the beer at this time. And then I saw his hand start shaking. And then I asked him the same question again. And he then, the second time, said a different time. And that's when I knew that I had him. And, you know, that little gang thought they were so smart and we were so stupid. It was a feeling of joy when I said to him, you know something? No, you're not fucked up, right? No. You know you're not fucked up, right? Now, here's what's crazy. I was in Brussels, Belgium, around 5 or 6 months ago, acting in a film with Nicolas Cage called Mandy, right? I'm sitting in a restaurant, eating food by myself. This young Belgian kid comes up to me and says, "Excuse me, sir, but you know you done fucked up, right?"
Oh my God.
I laughed so hard. But no matter what country I go to, I mean, I've made a lot of films as an actor and director. And the line that said to me the most around the world, no matter what city I go from, and you know something? They're young kids. That's what's amazing to me. They've all seen that picture. I don't know how they see it, but they see it and they all repeat that line. And older people too. So yes, it's interesting.
How has that impacted your life? I'm sure it's got to feel good that people know your work.
Yes.
At the same time, maybe you're surprised that they're young kids that are seeing this film and from all walks of life. What does that do to someone?
Well, it means you did a good job because you impacted them in that way. You also wish there was more that they remember you for other than just that line, but you know, you're appreciative of the fact that they've seen your work and they appreciate what you've done. And that's always good. You know, because I'm very self-critical of my work. And so when someone affirms that what I've done impacted them, it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. Because they don't have to be kind. They don't have to come up to you. They don't have to. But they do. At a certain age, you think you've been forgotten about and you haven't. That's rewarding also. Especially when young people do it. And from different countries. There was not one piece of distribution in place when we put our money together to make Dark Girls. We were passionate about this topic because both of us, my co-partner, Chan Berry, we are both dark-skinned black men who have faced the prejudice of being dark-complected in our own community. And we saw members of our family, little girls, from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old going through this pain, being called monkey, ape, darky, gorilla face, ugly, and asking their mothers, can they be bleached lighter because they were ugly, and the parents trying to say. So we said, let's see what happens. And so we made the film, then we cut a trailer. Put the trailer online, and it got 2.3 million global hits. And we said, we have something. So let's see if we can get a touring company to, and they did, we got a touring company, tours around the country and different parts of the world, and the success was really great. We still had no distribution. And so we said, okay, let's get a broker, maybe a booker, and maybe the booker can set up some screenings, and how much is it going to cost us? As we're going into the cost for the booker to maybe, say, 5 or 6 AMC theaters or something. Man, between the booking and the promotion, and can't afford, we're dry. Good run. Went to the film festivals and so on. Get a call on the phone. Oprah Winfrey's interested in you guys screening the film for her. Okay. Sent it to Scott over there, and Scott looked at it, brought it to Oprah's office, saw it, and he said, what's your lawyer's name? And once that happened, it was I'm not gonna lie, man, it was a pain, it was painful, man. Some days you want to just say, forget it, man, give up.
What about it was painful? And what time frame are we talking about?
Year and a half. I mean, you're talking about, your bank account is dry, and you got bills to pay, and your accountant's pissed at you to the degree of you really are, something's wrong with you. You spent this money for your mortgage this year, and where's that going to come from? You're crazy, and you start thinking, maybe I was a little crazy. And then divine intervention, or whatever you want to call it, says, you're doing something that we want you to do, so we're going to help you. And when that happens, it's like, first time we take a deep breath in a long time. But you can't give up. You just, it's the blessing and curse of this industry, you know. It's a blessing and a curse. I mean, you keep going because you're passionate and you're going to get it done, you know, but it's not painless. And then when someone sees what you see, and they have distribution, and they say it has value, tears. And I don't mean the polite type, I mean the snotty type, you know, that kind of stuff that really, just thankful. The lady in the Apollo Theater, I showed the film, and she stood up. She was an older lady, and she said, "Oh, with all due respect, I thought the film was great, but why are you airing our dirty laundry? That's shameful." I said, "Ma'am, with all due respect, it's because it's stinking up the house." And she didn't like what I said, but I was being honest, because there's so much in the American community, but in the black community in this nation, there are so many things that we are expecting to be solved by someone else. There's this expectation of salvation, you know, somebody on this horse or this train of gold is going to come in and they're going to save us. I remember we were waiting for Godot, you know, a great play. Godot, he never came. The city just left on rocks waiting. And I'm trying to, through my documentaries, I call them edutainment. I'm trying to say, I'm going to entertain you. Here's information that if you apply it to the problems that we face, there's a chance that it can have an impact in a positive way. But I cannot do that for you. That's not what I do. I am a filmmaker. And what we're finding is somehow that's not enough. I could retire. I mean, I could just live. But you know, there's something that I had a dinner at my house. This was like a year ago, and like 9 people were there, and the discussion was about, in your lifetime, out of all of the people you've ever known, what percentage of them ended up doing what they wanted to do with their lives? Percentage was 3%. So when I look at my good fortune, all I continue to go through and have been through, but I am still doing at my age what I want to do with my life, and I wake up every day and I want to do more. I do never want to retire. No matter what the pain has been, I feel I've been blessed. Because most of my friends that I grew up with are dead. Or if they're not dead, they retired from jobs they hated that they did for 35 years or more. And they retire and they sit on the porch and go on cruises and stuff, which is okay. They never enjoy one day of work. Not one day. Why do most people make that choice? I think security. There's some security in having, 2 kids and the house and the car, working at a job that gives you insurance for your family, vacations, retirement guaranteed. There's a certain security about having that. Some people weigh happiness against security. For 90% of people, security always wins. Particularly if you have kids, because once you have a child, I mean, your life is secondary to the needs of what you've created in this world. But there's another side to it in that if you wake up every morning and you don't have security, but you love waking up, you love going to work, you love the fight, no matter how painful it is, you will, okay, Goliath, my stone's not that big, but I see your damn eye, man. I see right here, man. I'm not saying today, but you see this little, I'm twirling the stone, you know. It's taking me longer than I thought. You're going down. There's two books that I would recommend to people. One is by Stephen Pressfield. It's called The War of Art. It's one of the greatest books I've ever read. Helped change my life. The War of Art. Another one is by Seth Godin. It's called The Dip. And The Dip talks about people who are serious about whatever they're doing. They go, then they have a dip. You know, now you have one of two choices of getting out of that. You know, you can continue doing what you're doing, or you can begin to learn from where you've been and turn it into an advantage. So if you want to be an actress for 20 years or 15 years and you never really were able to get a foothold or a great agent or whatever, you can either stop or you can say, how can I use another way of getting to where I want to go? And today there's no excuse. As I said, webisodes, mobile TV, games, cell phone apps. Kids made a feature film with 2 cell phones. I mean, what are you waiting for? The thing is that we're caught in this old paradigm that I cannot do anything without the permission of a system. And if you continue to think that way, you're right. You're waiting for permission. But suppose you say, I'm no longer waiting for permission. I'm going to create my own opportunity. It may not be perfect in the beginning, but I'm going to refine it. I'm going to create strategic alliances. I'm an actor-writer, but I know a starving director over there. That guy hasn't worked in 5 years, and he's looking for something. Maybe he and I, or I know a set designer who's kind of, or a producer was fired 4 years ago, hasn't worked since. But that kind of thinking. It's another book that Seth Godin wrote called Tribes. He says, stop trying to do it by yourself. Stop trying to do it by yourself. You don't have to.
You have one of two choices. I'm going to satisfy your needs and ignore the truth of my own. Or I'm going to satisfy my needs and ignore the truth of the relationship's needs. I tried this once because I liked the person so much. I tried not taking a job and staying in the house and watching the flowers grow and doing all the things she liked. And she was happy. But there's the truth that I realized something after a few months. A feeling of resentment. And that eventually started manifesting itself. So it wasn't, I was fulfilling the desires, I wasn't happy because I was lacking something. I've always been a worker. I always wanted to work. I don't know. Work stimulates me. It gives me fulfillment. It's not that I need romantic fulfillment like everybody else. I need love and caring like everybody else. But love and caring without me feeling engaged in something I'm so passionate about, which is my work. If I gave that up, it's not good for a relationship with me. And that's what's so difficult, you know. I think I spoiled my goddaughter because it's like, you know, since 3 we spent so much time together, and I helped raise her and spoiled her and everything, you know, because I don't think I was there enough. So I just kept doing things. We worked it out, of course, but it's like she's traveled around the world in many places and everything, and that's all good, but she was saying all the time, "Could we just sit down and just meditate? Can we just sit down and just talk?" And yes, I do that. But everybody's saying, well, you're 74, you're going to be 75 February 26th. Why do you have to still be working? I said, what else am I going to do? Retire, just sit in the porch and the beach, watch the flowers grow, and enjoy the air, and oh boy. So that's the rest of my life, huh? Enjoying the flowers. Suppose I could discover how the flowers are made. Suppose I could discover where the sky came from, suppose I could discover where air comes from and the source of reality, and film it. I mean, one of my heroes of discovery, he's older than me, is Morgan Freeman with his new network, and his whole program about God. You know, who and where is God? What is God? These amazing thinkers. Because he plays those questions himself, and he just his brilliance of going into those topics and understanding God. What does that mean to cultures around the world? That's fascinating to me. But he still has an open mind. He still wants to learn and know. That's inspiring. I watched last night Terry Bradshaw and the boxer, I forgot his name, but it's probably called Better Late Than Never. And these 4 older men, they're in their 70s and some in their 80s, and with this one young guy, the son of, I think, Terry Bradshaw, goes with them around the world. And they visit places they've always wanted to visit before they die, but they do it together. It's funny, it's inspiring, it's powerful. Because they don't stop. They just, no, before I get a certain amount of time left, I'm going to do everything I ever wanted to do. And there's something about that's wonderful. It's beautiful. Because they don't say, I'm retiring and I'm going to lay up in bed and just watch the birds go by. They're flying with the birds. This is how it feels to fly. Oh, okay. I love it. That's life. A lot of my friends work at jobs they hate for 35 years. They work every day, but they're to be admired. Health insurance, car payments, house note, send the kids to college. All the dreams they had, they gave them up when they were 20, once they had children. They retire and they're maybe dead in 5 to 9 years. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I want. I hope I don't. I'll probably die in a set. Something, just cut. I don't know. I'm just saying. Only God knows that. But I just want to do something I want to do. And these days, how is Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and Clint Eastwood? They don't stop. I'm writing this book for all the losers in the world. For all the people that have been told you cannot do it, you're a loser, you're too stupid, you're too ugly, you're too dumb, you're too black, you're too whatever, you're never gonna make it. I've been called all those things and worse. I'm writing this book because I want children who are going through similar things and never give up on themselves. If I can get through it, so can you. Never, never, whether you're 5 or 100, never give up. It's never too late. You determine your reality. Are there forces that help shape the context around you? Of course there are. But what is your responsibility? Because the boogeyman's bigger than you, you don't fight back, you don't do nothing, you don't bite his toe, you don't do nothing. You just talk about the size of the boogeyman, how long he's been on your neck, the color of the boogeyman, the boogeyman system, the boogeyman's, how can I say, the odor of his breath. You can describe every aspect of the boogeyman for the rest of your damn life, or you can bite his toe. Now, you ain't gonna kill him if you bite his toe, but toes are sensitive. There's gonna be some movement. All you need is a little bit. But you're not gonna bite? Well, that's your definition of your possibilities in life. I can't bite because the boogeyman's so big and I'm so weak. Goodbye. Shit. Sorry. Not me. Not me. Never. You gotta have I guess a couple of bullets. They better hit something that's vital. Because they can remove them, I'm coming back. Never give up. Never. And as my family used to say, to the people who try to stop you and put you down, there's only one phrase that they deserve, and that is this: I ain't as dumb as you look. I ain't as damn dumb as you look. We can keep talking, but I want you to know something. I ain't as dumb as you look. You know, it's interesting. Once they see that, they know that you're not playing checkers in a chess game. You're playing chess. As long as they're both playing chess, let's play. So I got some damn moves too.
Let's just play. Don't tell me how good a checker player I am. That's what I feel. Winston Churchill. True power is an individual's ability to move from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Anonymous. Aspire to inspire before you expire. Anonymous. If a man does not seek humility, humility will seek the man. And my final one, anonymous. In your lifetime, you will never see a smaller package than a person wrapped up in themselves.
Like that.
And I found each one of those to be true.